telling the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, come and plug out our president. Pick our president the way you have picked Maduro. Nobody, not the mightiest powers in this world, will have that capacity to do this against the will of Kenyans. Kenyans and the world must remember what happened many years back in Mogadishu when the Americans, with all their sophistication and might, wanted to take one General Farah, Muhammad Aidid. The one thing you can never try in the Horn of Africa is to try and do that. Americans learned their lesson, the international community learned its lesson, and not a single president of ours, not a single leader of our country will be placated by anybody else. We don't care whether you're a superpower, and nobody will ever try. As long as we have Kenyans with the guts, and we have many of them who have the guts, including all of us who are here now addressing you today. Nobody is going to mess with us because they think we are a subhuman. No. If it has happened in other countries, if it has happened in Libya, it has happened in Iraq, it has happened in other places, I can assure you one thing, it will never happen in Kenya. And we are willing to shed every drop of blood of every citizen of this country. Anybody ambaye anawatafuta wazungu kwenda kwa lamba aende atafute hapo kwingine. And we have the capacity to protect ourselves from any external threat, regardless of how powerful that external threat is, even if it's a nuclear power.
Hello YouTube family, I hope that you are doing fine from any part of the world that you are watching today's video from. Today we are going to discuss about something that seems far away but yet it is relevant for the Americans. Why is Trump going after the Kenyan president, Dr. Samoei William Ruto? At a glance, it may look like it's about a different country or another country. But in reality, it is the United States foreign policy, influence, and global oversight. When a high-profile investigations and financial scrutiny occur in the United States, the effects don't just stop at our borders. They ripple out, creating pressure points that involve governments and leaders around the world. Kenya, because of its position in East Africa, has become one of those points. Trump's approach is transactional and very public. He uses pressure to enforce expectations, make alliances conditional, and signal control. For Americans, it is important to understand how these foreign interactions happen, how money and political influence move globally, and how leaders outside our borders are sometimes drawn into the United States priorities. Today, we are exploring the United States angle, the reasoning behind these actions, and why Americans should care about what is really happening to Kenyans. Welcome back to Political Realities, a channel where we handle real discussions, political issues happening in Africa and in the United States. If you are new here, take a minute to subscribe, to like, and to share today's video. Sit with me, let's watch the clips and see how people are reacting to what is happening in the United States and what is also happening in Kenya as well.
Hi fam. So a couple of days ago, the truthful man, Riggy G himself, he made some remarks and he was asking the President of the United States, Donald Trump, to come and pick Ruto, the same style that he did to the President of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro.
We are requesting the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, to be kind to this country and to come through for us and to ignore that process and just do what he did in Venezuela. And Kenyans will be grateful. Now, if it is possible, he can do it as early as this week. Asingoja sana.
Then came in Farah Maalim. You know Farah Maalim, the guy who said that he can butcher 5,000 Gen Zs during the June last year, 2025 June, when we had Gen Z revolution. So Farah Maalim came and said that he can butcher about 5,000 Gen Zs to protect power. So Farah Maalim came out strongly today defending Ruto, saying that, scoffing at the idea that the US can arrest Ruto the same way they did to Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela. He cited the Mogadishu Black Hawk Down as an evidence that US cannot handle Kenyan's leadership. For those who don't know about the Black Hawk, the Mogadishu Black Hawk Down, go and do your research about Mogadishu Black Hawk Down that happened in October 1993. But this is 30 years ago. And this was different era. It was different war, different rules, different Somali, different USA.
Mogadishu, when the Americans, with all their sophistication and might, wanted to take one General Farah, Muhammad Aidid. The one thing you can never try in the Horn of Africa is to try and do that. Americans learned their lesson. The international community learned its lesson, and not a single president of ours, not a single leader of our country will be placated by anybody else. We don't care whether you're a superpower, and nobody will ever try. As long as we have Kenyans with the guts, and we have many of them who have the guts, including all of us who are here now addressing you today. Nobody is going to mess with us because they think we are a subhuman. No. If it has happened in other countries, if it has happened in Libya, it has happened in Iraq, it has happened in other places, I can assure you one thing, it will never happen in Kenya. It will never happen in Kenya. And we are willing to shed every drop of blood of every citizen of this country before we can be treated to that kind of embarrassment.
Sir, first, every time someone uses the Black Hawk Down to explain the 2025 geopolitics, that's nostalgia. That's not logic at all. The fact that you even talk and say that Kenya is a sovereign country, I support you there. And I agree with you that Kenya is a sovereign country. But I will not talk about sovereignty while you're the same guy who talked about butchering Kenyans, 5,000 of them. So why are you speaking double-sided? Where's the double standard coming from, Mr. Farah Maali? Same guy who was summoned by National Cohesion and Integration Commission simply because you threatened to butcher the young people of Kenya when they were trying to fight for their constitutional rights. And the remarks that you made brought about hatred, and they could have sparked more danger. So now you're telling us that we got the guts to protect the president from such kind of arrests that happened to the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. See, we have the guts. I personally am going to speak for myself. I have the guts, but to protect my own family. And the thing that I can protect, it's not the corrupt leadership of Kenya, but the Constitution of Kenya. That's the only thing and the only guts that I have. To protect the Constitution of my country, but not the interest of corrupt leaders. So if Donald Trump was to make the decision to come and invade Kenya, and pick Ruto from the State House, I'll be watching and chilling and watching movies and eating popcorns, my guy. So don't talk about having the guts. We have the guts, but not to protect you, corrupt leaders. So don't talk about the guts. We got guts. Personally, I got guts, but the guts that I have are to protect my family and myself. You lack the moral compass to tell us that, or rather tell all Kenyans that we got balls to protect the president, Ruto, from the hypothetical external threats. With our blood. Hey, while you're invoking Somali war analogies. It's not gonna happen. So if Trump decides to come for Ruto because Ruto is corrupt, or because he has done whatever that he has done, or the atrocities he has committed, I will be sitting in my house eating popcorns, and I say that again. I cannot even flicker. And I'll wake up the next morning and talk about it. What are you telling us? That Kenyans, we got guts. We have guts to protect our sovereignty as a country and protect our constitution, not corrupt leaders. And I repeat that again. Donge, Mr. Farah Maalim, bana, tuachishe ati protect Ruto with our blood. Sinisikia hata Trump anamkujia kesho. You think I will flicker? With our blood.
Donald Trump has kicked Kenya where it hurts the most, and President Ruto is the one forced to absorb the blow on behalf of the country. In a statement delivered at Quantico to top US military officials, Trump declared that it is not the responsibility of American forces to protect foreign nations, such as Kenya and Somalia. His focus, he said, would shift inwards towards fighting unspecified enemies from within.
Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly. After spending trillions of dollars defending the borders of foreign countries, with your help, we're defending the borders of our country from now on.
Trump's words may have sounded broad and abstract, but in Nairobi, Kenya, alarm bells went off. Now, Kenyans saw it as a red flag. They interpreted it as a warning of reduced US military support. They saw the risk of being locked out of intelligence feeds, stripped of logistical muscle, and exposed in regional security operations where the US has historically been a major player. It was the clearest signal yet that Trump has no interest in continuing the kind of warm engagement Joe Biden showed Ruto during his tenure. But the timing couldn't sting more. Just days earlier, Ruto publicly criticized the US for its half-hearted support of Kenya's police-led multinational security support mission in Haiti. Ruto accused Washington of failing to deliver adequate logistical backing. He cited the use of broken-down second-hand American vehicles, the lack of critical support, and the death of a Kenya police officer towing one of those vehicles in Port-au-Prince as symptoms of a larger problem.
I must commend the United States. They did make available logistics, vehicles, but unfortunately most of the vehicles were second-hand vehicles, and therefore they broke down a lot many times. And in fact, it put our personnel in great danger when they broke down in very dangerous places. But at least they stepped up. We didn't, however, get any useful support from any other quarter.
In response, Christopher Landau, the US Deputy Secretary of State, made Washington's position clear. He insisted that the US cannot continue to carry the lion's share of the financial burden.
The United States has long been a partner and a friend to Haiti. However, we cannot continue to bear the lion's share of the financial burden in addressing the hemisphere's security threat. That is why we call on all UN member states to support the creation of a GSF and UN support office and to provide the resources required to stabilize Haiti.
Translation: Kenya was asking for more than America was willing to give. Then came the uppercut. The UN Security Council passed a new resolution backed by the US, authorizing the creation of a new militarized force, the Gang Suppression Force GSF. Now, this new outfit, packed with police, soldiers, and civilians, gets a 12-month mandate to tame Haiti's gangland chaos. And the sad news is, Kenya's led officers will no longer be in charge. officers deployed to Haiti will remain on the ground, but their role is being downgraded. For a country that has been a US darling, basking in Biden's 2024 designation as a major non-NATO ally with over $90 million in aid since independence, this feels like a demotion wrapped in a participation trophy.
Requested by Haiti, this new force would consist of more than 5,500 personnel, more than 5 times the size of the current MSS mission, and would operate under a mandate authorized by Chapter 7 of the UN Charter. This mandate would empower the force to proactively target gangs and restore security to Haiti, while ensuring it has the appropriate tools to succeed.
So, should President Ruto be hitting the panic button? You see, for decades, the US has been the geopolitical sugar daddy, pumping over $90 million in economic assistance and crucial military aid into Kenya, culminating in the Biden administration major non-NATO ally status. Now, this was Kenya's golden ticket for easy access to US military tech and a loud signal of a strategic partnership. However, Trump's America First shift, which puts US borders and domestic issues first, would choke off funding for key Kenyan security operations.
Not only are we rebuilding our great strength, but for the first time in years, my administration is actually using that strength to defend the core and vital interests of America. And very simply, we are putting America first. And I have since I've been elected. I've always put America first.
Now, this includes support for KDF's fight against Al-Shabaab and even the US military presence in Kenya. Now, this isn't just a diplomatic insult. It weakens Kenya's ability to handle regional threats. Now, the momentum from Ruto's 2024 state visit with Biden, which promised stronger trade and security ties, is now hitting a wall. If Trump cuts back on US involvement in Africa, Kenya will have to adjust quickly. It can either move closer to US trade interests like AGOA and private investments, or look for new global partners, which could upset Washington, by the way. Neither option is smooth for Ruto.
Hello and welcome back. Before then, we need to understand why Donald Trump is after the Kenyan president. But also, the Americans need to look at the bigger picture of the United States foreign policy and also international influence. First of all, Trump's foreign policy has always been transactional. Loyalty, compliance, and also usefulness determine relationship among different countries. When a country is strategically important but appears to operate independently outside the US expectations, then we see that pressure is always applied. Financial and political scrutiny inside the United States often has international implications. High-profile investigations and oversight like fraud or accountability measures do not exist in isolation. They can draw attention to international partners, allies, and networks. The ripple effect creates diplomatic and economic signals that pressure foreign governments to also respond. And again, we see that Kenya is a strategic hub in East Africa. From a United States perspective, ensuring alignment with the United States priorities there matters for regional stability, trade, and also security. So when Trump targets a leader, it's not just about criticism. It is a signal to international community about expectations and also influence. Americans should pay attention because these actions reflect how global power is exercised and also how international money flows are scrutinized and how the United States leaders leverage influence beyond our borders. Understanding this helps Americans see the logic behind foreign policy decisions and their broad impact. The bigger lesson is about transparency. It's also about accountability and the limits of power. When the United States leaders act decisively abroad, the motivations are rarely local. They are strategic. They are political and they are relevant for anyone trying to understand American influence in the third world countries today. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Until next time, be grounded. Remember to subscribe, to like, and to share today's video.